could have.
Now take a look at this graph. Whew, this graph is important. When did we say that the lungs could actually participate and have gas exchange? 20 weeks. What stage embryologically? The canalicular stage. What do we need to keep the alveoli open early on, especially little tiny ones? Surfactant, the lecithin. You notice here on the graph that the lecithin in isolation is going to start rising very quickly after 20 weeks. Remember that we're going to move from the immature on the y-axis to approximately 1, and we have the transitional zone between the 1 and the 2. All of that is important, Dr. Raj? Oh, yes it is. Why? You must know that beyond 20 weeks, especially after 25 weeks, as long as there's proper amounts of maternal steroids and cortisol made available to the fetus, then the lecithin, the surfactant, is going to start rising, and it should start rising above 2 is the magic value that you must memorize. That's proper, healthy surfactant or lecithin production that you're seeing here on the graph. Next, where's lecithin in the ratio? Numerator. Raj, why is that important mathematically? When you raise the numerator, what happens to the ratio mathematically? It increases, Dr. Raj. Exactly. Notice, please, that as a lecithin above 20-25 weeks exponentially starts increasing, notice that the lecithin to sphingomyelin ratio also starts rising rather acutely and abruptly, as it should. And what's that magic number that we know in which surfactant is adequate? 2. So, Dr. Raj, if that's the case, then there must be a scenario where, the surfactant levels must be less. That means that now the alveoli is susceptible to collapse, resulting in NRDS. Guess what that number would be with that ratio? That would indicate that your child, unfortunately, may then go into NRDS. That's less than 1.5, less than 1.5, less than 1.5. Is that clear? I hope so. Hopefully your child is not in such a dire situation. I said dire. Why? Preemie. The child is born as a preemie. 25, 26, 27 weeks. Not enough? Surfactant. The alveoli are now susceptible to collapse. What kind of alveoli, by the way? Small alveoli. Why? Take a look at this alveoli. What's creating the surface tension? Unbelievably, when you and I, we were in the womb of the mama, we were breathing in through fluid. Rapidly after delivery, what happens? The fluid is gone, and the air has to now fill up the alveoli. Correct? Now that the air has to then fill up the alveoli during inspiration, but around the alveoli, guess what we have? Fluid. So we have strictly a fluid around the alveoli to air interface. Wow. Let's say we take a cup of water, take your hand and dip it into that cup. Take your hand out, and then you find the drops of water that are now dripping from your finger onto the surface down below. What are those drops of water going to do when they fall onto the table? They're going to come together. It's called the intermolecular forces of water. The intermolecular forces of water, nature has it, where it's going to be drawn to one another. That's exactly what's happening around the alveoli. That's exactly what's happening around the alveoli, causing increased surface tension. So now you tell me, if the alveoli was larger, then what would happen to the intermolecular force? You would break it up. So therefore, the larger alveoli would have a harder time collapsing. Whereas little alveoli, with that surface tension, with a small radius, is then going to collapse that alveoli very quickly, leading to atelectasis. What kind of atelectasis would we call this in neonatal respiratory distress syndrome, where this child was born as a preemie let's say at 25 weeks. What do you mean, what kind of atelectasis, Dr. Raj? Well, we have different types of atelectases, don't we? We have things such as compression atelectasis, contraction atelectasis, obstructive or resorption atelectasis, and we have something called adhesive atelectasis. That's what this would be. Adhesive atelectasis, when a child is born with NRDS, because there's no surfactant or deficient levels of surfactant. All of this should be understood. Listen here very carefully. With NRDS, what about your oxygen in this child? Not enough. So if there's lack of oxygen available in the plasma, and your PO2 is low in NRDS, from embryologic to delivery, or fetus to delivery, that oxygen is required to close, remember, the ductus arteriosus. Surfactant.